Normally, we would think that psychologists write off paranormal experience as delusion or fantasy. The consensus among scientists and the population at large is that ghosts and paranormal experiences are a grand hoax without any real solid proof. According to Wikipedia, parapsychology is the study of paranormal and psychic phenomena, which include telepathy, precognition, clairvoyance, psychokinesis, near-death experiences, reincarnation, apparitional experiences, and other paranormal claims. We all know that the granddaddies of psychology, such as B.F. Skinner, Sigmund Freud, Jean Piaget, and Abraham Maslow, wouldn't touch these topics with a 10-foot pole. Parapsychology is usually seen as pseudoscience by the mainstream. However, some psychologists have taken these types of claims more seriously and have devoted parts of their lives to exploring them. In some cases, this has turned out to be quite helpful for patients struggling with internal psychological material. This is why psychology is such an interesting field of study. There are loads of theories regarding personality, psychological development, and the perception of reality. Some are based more on materialist philosophies, while others are willing to include experience and perception beyond the normal range, dipping into the occult and the supernatural. While you can decide whether or not you believe in ghosts for yourself, we'd like to go through some examples of paranormal experience that famous psychologists have reported. Some will sound like ghost stories, while others will be a more generalized view of how psychologists view paranormal experience.
Number 5. Carl Jung. Carl Jung was a prestigious psychiatrist from Sweden, most well known for being the founding father of analytical psychology and for his theories regarding the collective unconscious, archetypes, alchemy, art therapy, and synchronicity. He was quite prolific during his lifetime, publishing 13 books and working with many patients. The first and more well-known story that Jung recounted has to do with synchronicity. During a psychotherapy session, a female patient told Jung about a dream that she had recently. In the dream, she was gifted a piece of expensive jewelry shaped like a golden scarab beetle. During the time she was speaking about her dream, Jung heard a tapping at the nearby window from outside. He opened up the window and a scarab beetle flew into the room and landed on his hand. It was green and gold in color, similar to that of the beetle the woman was recounting in her dream. He handed the beetle over to her. Jung spoke of this happening as a meaningful coincidence. The bug itself was quite rare to be seen in the area, and apparently represents an unconscious want for transformation and change. The universe cooperated in the woman's life and provided her with this coincidence, which allowed her to move forward in the psychological therapy which she was undertaking.
Number 4. William James. William James was a professor at Harvard and is considered one of America's greatest psychologists. He is one of the founding fathers of the pragmatic school of thought. Although this is the case, he was later in life interested in psychic phenomena and ended up as one of the founders for the American Society for Psychical Research. A psychic medium named Lenora Piper was responsible for converting Professor James during a series of seances. Supposedly, Piper had the ability to say the name of James's wife's father and the name of a child that he and his wife had recently lost. He claims that he provided no information to her before these seances. He was convinced after the first visit that Piper was either possessed with supernatural abilities or that she knew the family members of his wife's family, and it was all a coincidence. He would later say that he rejected the idea that she knew his family, and decided that she had to have abilities beyond what is normal. James had 25 of his colleagues visit the spiritualist as well, beginning research that continued for years to come.
Number 3. Jordan Peterson. During one of his appearances on the H3 podcast, Dr. Jordan Peterson spoke about a paranormal experience which he had at a hotel in Nashville. This was an older hotel from the 1970s that wasn't extremely well kept. After getting back to the hotel after eating dinner, he noticed that all of the drawers of the furniture were completely open. He saw that his computer and luggage were still in the room, speculating that a thief would have stolen those things. He wondered if a truck driving by had opened the drawers, so he did an experiment in which he shook the furniture to see if the drawers opened. During his experiment, one of the desk drawers opened behind him. He didn't think much of it and went to bed. In the morning, he went to the lobby and asked the front desk about this and was told that the hotel was haunted. The following day, he went to get breakfast in the hotel restaurant and noticed that no one was inside. After waiting for 30 minutes, a waiter finally showed up. He asked for a menu and the waiter said they didn't have any. Dr. Peterson ordered breakfast and about 45 minutes later, the waiter returned with plates. Each plate had 2 raw eggs with a nice decorative garnish. He called the waiter back and complained that the eggs were raw. About 20 minutes later, the waiter returned with cooked eggs.
Number 2. Carl Jung. Another lesser-known experience was recounted by Jung in the book Jung on Synchronicity and the Paranormal. Jung was invited to Britain during the 1920s to give a seminar. He was never a big fan of hotels, so he found a country cottage to stay in during the weekends. When he was at the cottage, he slept very little. He woke up one night to a disgusting smell in the bedroom. This was similar to the sulfur or egg smell that people report when having paranormal experiences. He largely ignored the experience and went back to bed. During the next weekend, the smell returned, this time along with a rustling noise, as if something was brushing up along the walls of the room. Jung had rationalized this and assumed that an animal was in the room with him. He ignored it and went back to bed. During the next weekend, knocking sounds can be heard. On another weekend, he woke up to the ghostly apparition of an old woman beside him with part of her face missing. He spoke with the staff of the cottage, who told him that it was indeed haunted. Jung told some of his colleagues about this experience in the cottage, and ended up challenging a skeptical one to stay at the cottage himself. He was unable to stay in the bedroom due to fear and slept outside instead. After these events, the owner had the cottage demolished, realizing that nobody would ever choose to live there.
Number 1. Nandor Fodor. Hungarian psychoanalyst Nandor Fodor was an authority on hauntings, paranormal phenomena, and poltergeists during the 1930s. He was the creator of a theory which stated that poltergeists are to be seen as manifestations of the unconscious rather than actual autonomous entities that exist. He believed that poltergeists are the consequence of human suffering, specifically emotional tension. In the late 1930s, Fodor investigated the Thornton Heath poltergeist case in which a family from the UK was terrorized by paranormal activity in their house for 4 years before moving out. During this time, lamps and household objects were moved around on their own. During Christmas, the husband was knocked over by a flying object. While getting back up, the Christmas tree began to shake violently. Footsteps were heard around the house, the young son saw a male figure in old-fashioned clothes, and visitors began to experience paranormal phenomena as well. During a dinner party, the door began to knock and shake vigorously. The door flung open and the lights in the house switched on and off. A medium who worked with the family found that a dead farmer who previously owned the home was haunting them. After the medium visited the family, the farmer's wife began to make herself known as well. Whenever the mother would go up the stairs, she felt that she was being followed. She would see the farmer's wife following her when she turned around. The farmer would show up on the television screen when the family would be watching it. Fodor concluded that there was a schizophrenic tendency within the mother that manifested itself as a poltergeist for psychological reasons. He eventually pointed out that the root cause of this disturbance was a sexual trauma which the mother experienced as a child. In a 1948 scientific paper, Fodor stated, "The poltergeist is not a ghost. It is a bundle of projected repressions." In addition, Fodor believed that pregnant women had a bond of telepathic communication with their unborn children. He thought that mothers could actually cause physical and psychological events on their unborn children.
As you can see, even some of the greatest minds have wrestled with the ideas of paranormal experience and psychic ability. Sometimes these ideas are rationalized and explained away as deep psychological forces or even as hoaxes, while others have had actual experiences that they can't explain. What do you think? Were these psychologists telling the truth? Are their claims valid? Have you had any similar experiences? Let us know down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button to get notified about when we upload a new video. We recently started our channel and have 2 other videos that you might be interested in watching. One is about creepy items up for sale on eBay, and the other is about scary and disturbing paintings. Thanks for watching!